When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
It's really cool.
Bonjour, hello, and welcome to the Rosbiff Rugby Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things French rugby. Top 14 Pro de Nationale, the Champions and Challenge Cups, the French national team Nibbles, and of course the brilliant towns, cities, bars, restaurants, fans, stadiums, everything that makes the French rugby experience so sublime. Rob, it is recording this just off the back of the long weekend, the bank holiday. Are you feeling an extra day refreshed?
No.
Great.
But that is partly because I went to bed late and got up early because I've basically watched in my last waking 4 hours. I've watched 4 hours of rugby, pretty much. So yeah, just trying to squeeze it in for the fans, for the listeners, the commitment. I was very rested and then ruined it by watching rugby. Basically, spending my last end of how I would rather have spent my bank holiday, but never mind. How are you? You had a nice, refreshing weekend.
I did.
Out of London, back home.
Out of the smoke, yeah. I was up in Suffolk. It was a big weekend in Suffolk. Ipswich promoted back to the Premier League. So yeah, there was the county was bouncing wherever you went. And yesterday, as we were coming home, we were among the melee just before the open top bus parade started. So yeah, fair play to the Tractor boys. Good effort to sneak back into the Premier League. I think it was QPR they beat. It was pretty convincing. But saw a few old schoolmates on the Sunday, a couple of whom had been to one of the kind of bigger bars in Ipswich to watch it, and apparently it was absolute bedlam. Assisted by a 12:30 kickoff as well for the full run-up celebrations, which is good. But otherwise, yeah, very nice. Had a nice time back home.
Yeah, I was walking around kind of on Saturday. We walked around kind of Surrey Quays, Bermondsey area, but certainly the less posh end of Bermondsey, or slightly nearer the Millwall end. And there was a lot of people in kit, but thankfully avoided too many Larry individuals or anything like that. Because it could have been kicking off after I think they won, but I think
they'll be in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, there'll be playoffs.
Which
will be fun in a couple of weeks when there's loads of people descending on Bermondsey for Millwall's playoff game. But yeah, got all that to look forward to.
Excellent.
But we are here to talk about rugby, not Championship football.
Well,
also Tranmere stayed up, mate. That's the other main
well
thing.
Done. Oh, that's good. Wimbledon the week before did stay up, which I don't think we mentioned, but did then do the ultimate after the Lord Mayors, where they lost 4-0 at home, which is like, wow, what an effort. But
I was going to message you to be like, oh, what a way to round off the season for Wimbledon.
Yeah, man, did what needed to be done, so all good. Yeah, let's get into it. Incredible effort to catch up on the rugby in time for this recording.
I was hoping we were going to segue from your weekend in Toulon in Suffolk to Toulon, but via the spotted father of a Toulon player. But
yeah, just because I know a bit of a strange one. So we did exchange one or two messages. Saw on Instagram a little while ago. Lewis Ludlam's dad, Aaron, was in the town where I grew up. So exchanged the message, and yeah, it turns out he lives in the area. I know Lewis Ludlam went to school with Alex Moon and Carl Wilkins more broadly in Ipswich at St Joseph's. And then I was walking along, and I was like, I sort of recognise that bloke. But yeah, it was kind of over the other side of the road, and it would have been a bit of a weird one. But yeah, Aaron, if you're listening, you were spotted in Framlingham on Sunday morning.
Which game do you want to start with? We start with that one, or
I think we should start with Bordeaux Bath. I
Okay.
think there's probably a little bit more contention, or not contention, more to discuss more broadly. You are off the back, Robbie. You are the freshest in the memory, hot off the press, you might say. Your views of Bordeaux Bath.
Well,
Um,
what an absolute belter of a try to finish it for Bath.
yeah,
That was an absolute wonder try. All the chat about Bordeaux and their attack. Absolute serious try from Bath with the game gone. That's the freshest memory I've got. Not sure how much else of it I took in, but yeah.
I
Your views?
So I watched it a little bit patchily on Sunday, just because of a few other bits going on. But what I watched it back properly yesterday as well to try and get a slightly better view. And one, I think it was a fantastic game of rugby. Like I thought it was gripping, certainly until kind of the sort of 60th minute. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Two sides playing incredibly well. A lot of real sort of standout individual performances, which we'll maybe get onto in just a moment. And I think also where the kind of trump cards, what made it interesting was some of the individual trump cards maybe weren't quite as influential in the ways that we expected. Now, don't get me wrong, like Thomas the Toy was definitely had the upper hand and played 70 odd minutes. I thought was amazing, but the scrum perhaps didn't go quite in the. It was a little bit more even than
Yeah,
perhaps we thought it might be, which made it interesting. I think as amazing as Maxime Lucu was, thought Ben Spencer was phenomenal throughout and gave his side an incredible platform. And yeah, it was Bordeaux were utterly deserved winners. I think they made fewer mistakes. Their defense is far better and far more aggressive, I guess would be the word, than perhaps we've sort of given credit for. And I don't know if that's just because we haven't seen Bordeaux have to defend like that in their 22, or whether they've sort of always had it there and we're just clouded by the attacking mastery and fail to mention it. But yeah, I thought some of their defense, their scramble and their kind of goal line stuff was pretty phenomenal, and arguably the difference. And then they're also watching it back, the two you kind of talk about moments, the 5-10 minutes before half time where both the two scrums that lead to a try and then points for Luku before half time both come from kind of real poor, like unforced knock-ons, really. I think Barbary, a bit of an iffy pass from Spencer, ironically, and then Tom Dunn drops one, and it was just those kind of little moments that compiled and did it for Bath. But I loved it. I thought it was a brilliant spectacle and a fantastic game. What about you?
yeah. I think my read of it was, I mean, obviously the final margin is what, like 14, 12 points. I definitely agree in terms of up until the 60-minute mark, and that was kind of where I had to kind of speed up so that I could record on time. But it didn't feel like I was missing out too much, other than the kind of intricacies and subtleties of the game. But I thought Bordeaux's defense was what won it. I don't think they obviously didn't fully glitter in attack. There was some magical moments and a lot of half chances for Chalobert that on another day could have been sensational tries. But I just think Bordeaux's defence inside their own 22 was absolutely phenomenal. And there was an element of Bath's mistakes cost them a lot. You're right. Like, even from the kickoff, that goes straight through Barbary and Bordeaux are in and they score within 90 seconds or whatever it was. But I think Bordeaux were kind of worthy winners by virtue of the defence and the way they managed the game and the way they kind of saw off Bath and felt like they were kind of in control. They were always ahead, right? Like they never fell
Yeah.
behind. And they kind of managed that really well. I thought the guys that we've spoken about loads in the pack this year, well, certainly in the Champions Cup, but Parlu, I thought like some of the hits he was putting in were enormous. I think the most underrated player in that side continues to be Pierre Bocheton. Like, what a shift again, and just it's when he makes some of the key tackles that he makes, like outside channels or at key points when it looks like they might kind of get get broken, and it's just Boston that's there. Woki obviously fantastic.
Yeah,
But I think that was Woki's kind of more headline maybe, and I thought shout out to some unseen work from Palu and Boston. I thought defensively, like what a shift from Maxime Luku. I know he's like top tackler in the quarterfinal, and you're right to kind of highlight how it's mad that he's one man of the match in two knockout games, and the opposing scrum half in each game has also been really bloody good. But his defense, like, he put in so many hits,
turnovers as well.
and he won a turnover, and like as much as his box kicking was sensational, like just his all round performance and how involved he is what makes him so superb. Certainly for this Bordeaux side, it is there's such a cliche to talk about like nines are more important than tens in France and Petit General and whatever, but like how integral Luku and Dupont are to their teams, and to an extent, I would say Saran, like how integral they are to their teams in all aspects of the game is absolutely mad. I guess Spencer's very, very similar in that respect.
Yeah, yeah, they were excellent. Those guys. I think someone else who I thought had a fantastic game, maybe not quite as involved all the way throughout, but I thought Damien Penaud at 13 was brilliant. Just looked kind of a little bit more. I think we saw him in that game against Northampton, right, where before he got dropped from the French team, where he was throwing these speculative kind of assists, if you want to call it that. That was the talk, wasn't it? He wanted the assist record, which I assume was utter nonsense. But there was some baffling kind of individual calls he was making. And actually, I felt like his when to run, when to pass, when to offload was pretty spot on. And the guy has been world class for a number of years, but obviously playing on the wing. And actually, given the size of the loss to that Deporter is, and obviously like no Jancy van Rensburg either.
Yeah,
It's been a big thing that they've needed to get right, and I just thought he looked really, really comfortable. Really impressive. The other guy I wanted to mention, you mentioned the two other back rows, but Marco Gazzotti's looked fantastic, isn't he? And that kind
yeah,
of almost like all the cliches of a back row balance. You had Woki, who was imperious in the line out. You had Boschiton, who was just killing anything that moves, and then Gazzotti, some of his carrying. He doesn't look that big, does he, by sort of
no,
modern back row standards? But he's so kind of compact and powerful. He's looking fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, I whacked a little kind of naff tweet up saying that next year they're going to have the options of Mathieu Gazzotti and Tom Willis at number 8. How you fit those three
Well,
in.
that's all right. Gazzotti gets injured the whole time, so at least that will solve that one.
I don't
Obviously, I
know.
don't wish that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
very impressive he was.
I'm trying to think what else. I thought Rayassi as well. Like the nuts and bolts of fullback play was like we've seen so many dazzling moments from him on counter attack, but under the high ball, his kicking game, I thought like his defensive reads were really good as well. Like he probably is first choice. I know Biarritz is back fit. He's probably that was a selection call, and I think that's probably right. I think Rayassi now is probably their first choice 15, and it kind of feels mad that they don't have Biarritz in there. They had that kind of settled backline for quite a while of like Pix itself, but now it's genuinely a different option for them.
Yeah, yeah, he's superb. One thing, so just to it feels probably remiss not to mention it because there's been a lot of talk afterwards. You've probably done quite well to miss it actually, but there have been Johan van Graan mentioned after the game that he was there were a couple of shots on Alfie Barbary that didn't kind of get checked or checked
Oh,
in the way they thought.
I missed those because they must not have mentioned it on commentary.
Well, here's
Andy
the
Good and Lawrence Delia. So quite remiss of them not to mention it on commentary. Like maybe they just didn't get the angles from the French TV directors. Maybe they just didn't get the replays, and it's so strange that they didn't mention that.
Yeah, it was it was
bloody,
tiresome,
it's
wasn't it?
that is exactly the word I was going to use. It's bloody tiresome hearing like I thought it was quite. I was just so bored of it. And
Game
bearing in mind,
ruining.
I was watching it like skipping through some of the pauses in play as
Yeah.
well, and I'm still getting bored of them saying, "Oh well, he could have gone to the bin," and "Oh, we don't get these TV." Like it's just like, come on. I actually thought I know one of our mates on a WhatsApp group, which I quickly muted. I realised I hadn't muted the notifications from that one. Said, "Is that one of the all-time worst refereeing performances?" I thought he like. No, that was the only thing I knew about this game. That was the only thing that I'd seen about this game before I watched it, and I thought he was fine. I thought, like,
Yeah,
yeah, the Luku
the
one. I
Luke
think
Jalabert is 100% a penalty and a yellow card. Like there
the
is,
Luku on,
sorry, Luku Barbary. Like
yeah,
that is there is no like I can see why people are spitting feathers over that because it just is in any other game and it's remarkable it was missed. However, the others are like fifth. You
it's the
know,
one on
they're not.
the one from Coleman,
The
isn't there?
Coleman one, which
I don't
also
remember any. I actually don't remember any others.
well, that I think that's it. That's it, right? The Coleman one as well. The ref is like a yard away and says it's on chest, and I think from the angle you see afterwards, it looks to me like it's one of those where I mean, Coleman is upright, so if he gets it wrong,
Got
fine.
previous as well, isn't he? Coleman?
Yeah, yeah. The track record isn't amazing in that respect, but I think it's one of those ones where he jolts back because he hits the ball
Yeah.
on the chest. But yeah, the Luku one, totally fine. Van Graan was really gracious about it, but there was also what you've done well to to miss is some of the Andy Good histrionics on so
Oh, has he
social
been going
media.
for it, has he?
Well, quite a few people giving it. Well, it's been a bit of a. I'd say it was. I had a little flick on Twitter on Monday morning, and I'd say it was a little bit depressing. A lot of grown men not exactly covering themselves in glory over, as you say, what. But I think the point around the commentary is such a frustrating one because it's not this thing around the angles and stuff like whether it's perception or not, it does happen. Like we've seen it. One of the most egregious ones was Rodrigue Netti against Fiji earlier in the year when he comes in from like 60 yards to basically shoulder someone, and it disappears. So I'm not saying that there isn't a cause for a call to say, come on, this feels a bit inconsistent. However, to your point,
Carry on.
the droning on, like you've got two guys who have played however much rugby, you would expect something a little bit more constructive than effectively two pub bores.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shame, and also I genuinely think tarnished what was a really entertaining game to watch.
I think,
Unfortunately,
in fairness to Andy Good, wasn't it? Wasn't it the Challenge Cup last year where it was banged on about? I think it was an Underhill high shot, and he just kept and he
oh
mentioned
yeah,
it like literally every pause in play. But yeah, I actually thought generally that I found the Premier Sports coverage like that they were more informed than they have been in the past, or like quite often we see from Anglo commentators on French stuff. But there was just the tiresome cliches about that stuff, and it was just like, oh, come on, because I think I don't think it would have changed the result too much. I don't like. I think Amateur Kelly, there were a few that he could have easily gone the other way, and I know Ben Spencer. They were complaining about the other thing they complained about was the yellow for Charlie Ewels, which was the little bit kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, wasn't it, in terms of which way the result was going. But I get that. Like
that ball
I
is
think,
flying forwards
yeah,
to the
and
line. Like I don't think you can't not give that. Yeah,
it was quite interesting that one of the I think it was one of the Bath I can't remember there's quite a few of them but one of the Bath supporting Twitter accounts kind of before the game was they referred to him as Hamish and Kelly I think it was but was like that's it'll be pretty even but just don't know about Hamish and Kelly. It's like right, so you've made up your mind before the game that the ref's going to be biased towards Bordeaux. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about like a ref being a wild card unless it's I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, not
I
sure.
also think like there was one bit where they complained about how a penalty had gone against Dutoit and Maul. And like they were like, oh no, it
Oh,
got against Ollie Lawrence.
who
And
jumped
on a
on top of the
replay,
mall?
yeah, and it's like, oh, it's a not sure about showing the replays and the crowd reacting and giving a penalty. It's like that happened so many times at the Aviva, and no one's like, and they're celebrating it on. They're like, oh yeah, that's the benefit of the home crowd, and the home crowd gets what the home crowd wants, sort of thing. It's like, yeah, like you can't.
Yeah,
I'm sure we say stuff that's cliched and inconsistent, but it's just you can't have your cake and eat it, basically.
Yeah, it was and it shouldn't gloss over what I genuinely I thought it was honestly I thought it was a fantastic like proper semi-final. I know the scoreline maybe a bit of gloss and Bath at the end and therefore doesn't reflect it, but for a long period I thought it was amazing. Shout out as well, we didn't mention him, Will Muir for Bath was absolutely on one. Thought he was incredible before he went off injured. And also quick shout out to Bath Rugby Plug podcast, who A, very wisely got in touch for some tips on where to go in Bordeaux, and B, gave us a shout out on their pre-match podcast. So
did they?
Yeah,
that's nice.
Look forward to hearing about their trip.
Sorry, I'm getting notifications on my phone about other podcasts being published. The one from the Times on this is their title this week is "Brilliant Bordeaux, but Bath Bemuse was French TV to blame." Well, we've already done our counterpiece, however the lads Will and Alfie and Alex, however they've landed on that, we've already done our counterpiece on that. So
yeah, I think it is. I think it is an issue. I just don't think it really was in this game.
I don't think it's that much of an issue. I really don't. I think it's massively overplayed.
Yeah,
and I think the one I think about is like I think it was against France a couple of years ago in Six Nations. There's one where like James Lowe scores in the corner and there's no angles, and then at half time they find about 3 with his whole foot over the line in touch. It's like, right, okay, where were these at 15 minutes ago? It's like
maybe there's more exciting things to talk about. Let's go to, you mentioned the Aviva, should we go there?
Yes.
Leinster will face Bordeaux in Bilbao.
I thought this was also a gripping and fantastic game of rugby. I feel like they were a little bit damning of it in terms of not great spectacle. I thought it was really gripping. I thought it we kind of always expected the brilliance, the attacking brilliance and whatever from Bath Bordeaux, but I thought I was really gripped by this. Maybe it's because when I watched it and just being so like fully locked into it when I watched it and stuff like that, and watching it in full rather than skipping through much.
I thought the end was gripping, and the way Toulon came back into it, and I thought there were some interesting passages of play, particularly like just before and after half time. I thought Toulon for the most part were poor, bar the last 15 minutes. I thought they the result, how it was set up at half time was, and maybe there's some credit there to their defence as well, actually. But I was really disappointed by some of the errors, some of the kind of, I don't know, the whole kind of thing of, they didn't play till this point. Obviously, that's like a massive oversimplification. But I just felt Leinster were the superior team for so long in this match. And maybe that is why it was gripping, because it then didn't go the same way. But I just felt Toulon didn't give a particularly good account of themselves, which sort of frustrated, because when they did, they looked so dangerous, and it was almost the game had to be lost before they put their best foot forward, which frustrating.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I just thought the fact that they stayed in the game until half time, and then the moment that it looked like the game was gone, suddenly, and you could have easily switched this off at the 16-minute mark and just gone, Leinster 0-1, cool. And I was at that point, I was like, I can skip through the rest of this. And then Toulon kind of brought back into it, and we had that kind of really tense finish. I don't think Toulon were very good, and I was really impressed with Leinster. What I would say on this is, and I'm not asking you to remember another game that has this, but has there ever been a game of such magnitude where the 2 starting fly halves have been so counterproductive to the success of their own team? There were two of the worst fly half performances in terms of negatives outweighing the positives in this game.
I think
I was thinking shocking first 10 minutes for Harry Byrne. Oh no, I can probably call that shocking first 15 minutes. Oh no, probably shocking first half.
It was a bit of a howler, wasn't it?
I mean, Gibson Park was unbelievable. I know Porter won man of the match, and I think that's fair enough. But Gibson Park is, I like. It's very rare that I'm supporting a team or wanting the team that Gibson Park is on to win. But so it quite often it's like begrudging, like Jesus, he's good. I always think of like this is a niche restaurant reference in Hot Fuzz when Simon Skinner is like watching or like considering PC Angle or whatever his name is, Simon Angel. He's like, my, he is tenacious. It's just like the begrudging respect of.
Yeah, he's
I
some
always think
player.
that always comes to mind when I'm watching Gibson Park. It's like, God, he's good, isn't he? Damn it.
Proper player.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, aside on nines, I mean, it feels like hindsight 2020, but even at the time watching it, like you're just thinking, bring on Mercer and Serran now.
Yeah.
Just got why they waited as long as they
I
did,
couldn't
and
believe it. I could not believe how slow because I
it was
think
so
also,
apparent that they needed to bring on
yeah,
Mercer for his like intensity and just his
oomph.
yeah, I'm gonna fucking go get this sort of attitude, and Saran just to like
Because he's your best player.
he's your best player and he'll spark something, and he was enjoyably shithouse as well in this, like in the half an hour or so that he was on, just so niggly, and they needed that like edge, they needed like the edge and niggle of Mercer and Saran, and Abadi was excellent when
He
he
was
came on.
brilliant. Yeah, I
But
thought Abadi was awesome.
it was those two that they needed, and it was so because Shiashvili was, other than sparking out Robbie Henshaw early on, he was utterly anonymous. And it was kind of like there were so many passages of play. Like once I noticed that he'd not done much, I was like, where is he? Like, why is he not giving them go forward? Like, how are they reliant on their loose head prop and their tight head prop to be their main ball carriers to get them any sort of go forward when they've got a number eight that's already sparked someone out, and also they've got Olivon. Like, why were they not getting their like inability to get players that they needed to get into the game was remarkable, because like Dreyan was silent for
Yeah.
75 minutes and then comes up with, like, as soon as he gets that ball for the finish, the one bit of good play from Thomas Albanose where no, that's harsh, one of the good bits of play from Albanose where he finds him on the wing. It's like, well, Dreyan's going to finish this, but that is Toulon right at the moment this season. It's just
It's
can
fractured, isn't it? But
can you get the ball to your best players? Can you bring your best players into the game? And for large parts of the season and for 60, 70 minutes of this game, the answer was no.
yeah.
Other
Yeah.
than Jaminet, and it felt like Jaminet having to do, I thought he was marvelous. I thought it was him having to do as much as he could. And without his boot and without his like breaks in the outside channels, this would have been like 40 points to 10.
Yeah, which I kind of feel like regardless it almost should have been, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
They just look so and it did change, and actually I thought the last like the kind of kick side for the last 20 minutes or so Albanose had some nice moments.
Yeah.
And looked like a real kind of quality 10. But yeah, it just Leinster's line speed, which we spoke a bit, well, a couple of things we spoke
So
about with
good.
Bernard Chapman was
Yeah.
amazing, and he was talking about how they obviously look to Toulon look to get it to the edge, and I think perhaps they are like Albanose and Sanzel and Brex are a bit like they sit quite deep, don't they, as a result of that, and they just got smothered like time and again, just like waves of seemingly kind of going back past the gain line the wrong way. The other thing as well is that we spoke about Leinster having these front row problems and the power of the Toulon tight five. And they got completely picked apart at the scrum. And Becca Gigashvili, our man from Chambry and Grenoble, came on and won a penalty straight away, and I think they felt that Sinclair was potentially slightly harshly dealt with at the scrum, but again it was so obvious that a change had to be made, and I think everyone, like commentary, anyone watching that game, it was, and I don't know, because they brought on sort of five guys at once, didn't they? And I don't know if they were so wedded to that sort of, I don't know, bomb squad, if you want to call it that, strategy, that they felt they couldn't go earlier. But I was amazed, and I thought it was like a real failure on behalf of the coaching staff not to make that earlier, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm
The,
not. I'm
the,
not. I'm not a huge fan of Andrew Porter's scrummaging. I think it is generally one of the more clearly illegal scrummages out there.
methods.
Yeah, I actually think it wasn't. Not all of these were entirely due to skullduggery from Porter. I thought, and like
They
it, but it was
scrummaged really
it,
well.
yeah, he generally was okay, and I think, but at the same time, I also think it was slightly harsh for it to be so one-sided, maybe. But that was again, it's like whether you agree with it or not, someone is clearly on the wrong side of the referee, and you need to change the picture, don't you? Or
As
like
they say.
give him or at least change the picture for Porter. Like Becca Gigashvili's like is quite a bit shorter than Sinclair, right? Like it's a different prospect, and you could have people different props struggle with different props. So if you just changed it, and Sinclair would have played against Porter loads. But how often
Yeah,
has Porter played against Becca Gigashvili? So like if he's got to adjust his setup and have something different opposing him, then that will disrupt him. But also Porter was amazing ball in hand. Like the
yeah,
couple
he
of the
was.
tries came from his carries. His carries were the ones that got him over the gain line.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Sorry, you're about to say something else.
No, just and it's not to stick the boot in needlessly, but I think the thing that summed it up a little bit until that last 15 minutes where they came alive was the remarkable ability to go 7-0 down during a period where you had 13 men as an opposition. Like the kind of they collect the ball, don't they? After they had a couple of minutes, but then they collect the ball. Couple of pretty insipid phases, like a bit of a scuffed box kick, and suddenly Leinster are under the post, and you've also lost. Was it Bobigny who went to the
Yeah,
bin as well? And it was like, how has the picture of this game changed back from that kind of pretty, that decent rear guard to suddenly this game's going to turn on its head to what's going on. We're behind on the scoreboard even further. Yeah, it was just. I think if you're I saw someone on X said if you're a Toulon fan, like I'm a Toulon fan, like imagine this every week kind of thing, which feels a little bit like it how it has been. But
they went 19-11 down at that point with that Ringrose try. They should have been 21-11. How bad is that conversion attempt
yeah,
from Gary Ringrose? In my head, I'm like, oh, well, this is, he's a Rolls Royce of a player. Like, this is gliding through the post. And it's like, and he looked quite confident lining it up. It's just like, oh, wow, that's not good.
yeah, nice
Um,
to see a little bonus view of a non-regular kicker is
yeah.
always a good one.
Well, I mean, the regular kicker wasn't fantastic, was he? But yeah, I do. I think, yeah, Jaminet, excellent. Saran was amazing when he came on. The fact they could have won it with
Is remarkable.
that like break from, and at that point, when it's 75 minutes, 78 minutes, and Jaminet's breaking out of his 22, and you can see that he's got Dreyan outside him, you're like, oh my God, they're going to score the try to win the game here.
Yeah,
And they are, well, they are probably like half a foot from on that pass inside to Athuvu
yeah, he
from
kind of
from
flings it
winning.
forward, doesn't he? It's
It's like
like,
it's like just not quite in the
yeah,
breadbasket enough. Yeah, but I really enjoyed it as a game, even though Toulon were largely terrible.
quite ropey.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was some. No, it was. I think I was just my initial thought was like, I cannot believe a side with this much quality can contrive to look so sort of fractured at points, and then when it does click, it's unbelievable. You're right, that end bit, there was such a ominousness to that. Was you saw kind of Dreyan like flanking around the side of
yeah.
Jaminet. You're like, oh my God, it's on, but alas for them, it wasn't.
They've just got to get get your best players on the ball more often. I thought Sanzel and Brex were all right, but again, like use a bit more of Brex to get over, like go more direct, or use Olivon to like bash it up. And yeah,
Yeah, what could have
disappointing
been?
from Toulon, but
What could have been? Um, I think, yeah. I mean, it should be. We'll talk about the final maybe another time. We got a few weeks, haven't we, to discuss Bilbao. Challenge Cup. I think you said you were none the wiser as to the Challenge Cup.
yeah,
Um,
I
s-
literally learned as we started this podcast that Exeter lost. So I'm very sorry, Richard.
That's quite all right. Ulster were very good actually, and Exeter made far too many mistakes, unforced errors, unfortunately. And Montpellier were just got past the Dragons in what was actually supposed to be pretty. I only saw the highlights, but supposedly it was a quite a tense game. Apparently, Aaron Wainwright, who's going to Tigers, was sublime in this. Two things I did see, which are well worth some of your time. One is a kind of own try of the season contender from Tom Banks, who gets
Okay.
tackled behind his own line and coughs the ball up.
Oh,
But
nice.
I think it's there's enough. It's less of a contender in the sense that you have to credit the tackler a bit more. Unfortunately,
It's not
rather than
full,
just a
not full
full
Leo Barre just
just
knocking it on
individual
his own
meltdown.
line. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other is Rio Dyer's try saving taco on Caddo, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like just no right. Yeah, well worth your time to see those two things. So we have Montpellier Ulster final, which feels quite good fun before the kickoff for the Champions Cup is 2:45 p.m. That feels a little bit unpremium as a
What?
kickoff time, doesn't it?
Surely that should be a 5 p.m. Maybe I was about to say maybe they're all having a siesta, but no, that is when you have a siesta in Spain, isn't it? Like two,
I don't know.
three. That's 3:45 local time in Bilbao.
Mid-afternoon.
That is prime siesta time in Bilbao, isn't it? What? Yeah.
I
So
have
it's
no
definitely not.
idea.
That's definitely not the reason. That is quite odd, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is a bit of a strange one, but I had a very brief like pre-look at travel and stuff if Exeter were to have got there on the Friday night, and you cannot get anything in Bilbao, and apparently you haven't been able to for ages under sort of, you've got like shared hostel rooms for 200 quid a night to be in a bunk bed with 14 other people, which which
I
is
was,
spiky.
I was gonna say, just stay in San Sebastian and enjoy the Sunday in San Sebastian, but actually that's an hour on the bus, so that's not that doable either.
Yeah, never
God, I
mind.
wonder
I'm
what
sure it'll
happened.
be a good trip regardless.
Yeah, Leinster, as they mentioned repeatedly, won in Bilbao,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
some happy memories maybe. Imagine Bilbao from Bordeaux is not actually that
That
inaccessible.
4 hour drive I saw in one of the Times
Oh, imagine
articles.
you could get a relatively quick train to Hendai, I'd imagine. I imagine there's a train from Hendai on the border to Bilbao pretty easily as well.
Certainly more convenient than Dublin or Belfast.
Yeah.
That is fair to say.
Montpellier
Okay.
to Bilbao's yards, isn't it? Jesus.
Yeah, that's traversing. That's a
Yeah.
decent schlep. Cool. Let's leave it there and come back and quickly preview top 14 and Pro Day Day. All right, Rob, before we get into previewing a couple of big games this weekend, there was a bit of movement down in Nationale this week,
Oh,
the barrages. And it will be Albi hosting Narbonne, who went away to Paris and beat Massy, first team to beat Massy in, I can't remember the name of the ground, so I'm not going to make it up, but where I was, where it was freezing back in November since January, so good win for them. And Chambéry beat Périgueux, our boys. So for whom well, we may have discussed this last week actually, but for whom I saw Nahum Merrigan re-signed, I think until 2029.
nice.
But yeah, they will be in National next year. So that'll be Chambéry travelling to Nice against Nissa Rugby and the Barry Maddox Jamie Cudmore project, and Narbonne making a relatively okayish trip to up to Albi. I saw a guy, I can't remember his name, we follow on X, who's like the rugby journalist in Aude, and he reckons they've
Okay.
already sold Narbonne away fans have snapped up 1,000 tickets for Albi already, which is some going. So that could be quite an affair, and also I imagine probably streamed somewhere on YouTube, either by the
Is
club
that
or by Rugby Rama.
no? I was gonna say that's Albi's in the Tarn, isn't it? It's not
Yes, it's not
an El Clasico.
no, no. Which, depending on the outcome of that game, we will know whether or not there'll be El Clasico with Carcassonne going down to Pro Day
Oh
there.
yeah, very true.
So yeah, that's to come. We've also got, it is a full return schedule this weekend, isn't it? Top 14 and Pro de Deux. Got the Rosbif Derby to kick us off,
We
Rob.
do, yeah. Huge game.
Not holding out masses of hope for Cast in that, I must say. Although actually their away form's been pretty good this year. Their away form has been playoff worthy. It's their home form that has somewhat deserted them, unfortunately.
Has it actually been good?
Well, they've won away
They
La
are
Rochelle,
ninth in the
Bayonne,
away table.
but I reckon that's pretty tight.
2 wins. They are.
3
Oh no,
wins.
sorry, I'm looking at Bayonne there. Yeah, 3 wins from 11. So yeah, that's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
Pau have 4 wins from 12, and they are
A second.
the third best away team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fair enough. But I mean, I'm nervous given Cass' away form. And well, Pau won on the opening day of the season at PFL.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
And I couldn't have expected then that Pau would still be in second coming in at this point of the season. But I'm slightly worried about those. I haven't seen or heard anything about those injuries from the Stade Francais game to Becker Gorgadze and Atasog Bay. Those feel pretty key. If Pau's team looks pretty settled and strong at the moment, so they should. You're right. You shouldn't be too hopeful. Pau are still unbeaten at home as well. It's the fans' nervousness that's making me think Pau wouldn't win that game. I think if you're an objective observer, you're probably expecting Pau.
That should be a fairly comfortable win. Something that is, I think, interesting in the fixtures is that actually Bordeaux, who are eyeing up a second European championship, so they're the only team in the top 7, bar Toulouse, who travel to Toulon at the Stade Velodrome. But Pau, Montpellier, Stade Francais, Clermont and Racing in that top 7 are all at home, and you would think are probably in pole position to win all of those fixtures. And Bordeaux have to travel to Bayonne, which has been less of a fortress, but I imagine there might be a bit of rotation given the intensity of the game the weekend just gone. And to be honest, in need, certainly not desperate, but in need of a win. Which there is
a very, very real possibility, because I looked at the kind of the outturn of the fixtures. There is a real, very, very real possibility that Bordeaux do not qualify for the playoffs, which feels mad given that they could well end up being the best team in Europe, officially the best team in Europe, and they might not even make the playoffs in a season where lots of teams have conspired not to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, they're still only, you're right where they are. They're still only 5 points off second. So it's not, it's hardly kind of, but the way
and because they've
particularly this weekend,
they've got the distraction of those games. And I think they go to Toulon after the final.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
So again, that's like such a losable game. Well, going to Toulon anyway should be a fairly losable game for most teams, but particularly if Ben Tamerfun has done 7 days on the piss again, then who knows? But
who knows? He then played, didn't he? Last year?
He did play, yeah. He started, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, we're like, Big Ben will be given a week off. It was like, no, he's straight back into
it. And they went like they scored a try in like the first 4 minutes or something as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, they
brilliant.
did that. I think it might have been the same get. I think they might have gone away to Toulon after the.
Okay.
I think it might well have been exactly the same fixture. Yeah, I feel like Toulon's fixtures always follow the same pattern. Like, obviously, the one against Toulouse is kind of always the same sort of date at the Stade Velodrome every year. But I feel like I feel like there's a lot of times this year where I've been like, I feel like they had this fixture exactly the same point last year.
Yeah.
But there we go. And I think there are a few listeners going to various different groups going to that game in Bayonne to see the reigning European champions take on Bayonne. Bayonne, as you mentioned last time, who haven't won at Stade Jean Daugé in 2026, which is mad, absolutely mad, given we are now in May. It'd be interesting to see how they pull up. Like, I don't know whether they'll be good or not, because I've not seen much from Bayonne to suggest that they will be good.
Yeah.
But they could easily win that game.
Yeah, completely. I think, we've spoken about most of any others. One more you want to call out, or?
I think Toulon-Toulouse should be a cracker.
Proper spectacle, yeah.
I wonder whether we will see, because last year they put like 50 points on Toulon, didn't they? I wouldn't be surprised to see that again, if I'm honest. Like Toulouse just going full noise and
rest it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, very possibly.
Especially bear in mind that A, they've had a week off, and B, their last game was a defeat at home to Claremont, where they were pretty sloppy in that second half. Yeah, I think it could easily be a bit of a bloodbath. I hope not. I hope
Interesting.
it's a belter, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that and fully let rip.
Which also makes there's Victor. Thanks for listening on Instagram. He got in touch saying that he's going to that game, and before that on the Thursday night, Provence v Van down in Pro des Deux, which is well, arguably certainly one of two pick of fixtures. I'm sort of intrigued. Do you think is that the sort of game that if you're Van, do you just say risk no injuries, risk no sort of psychological edge for the playoffs and send a really changed up team? Or yeah, how would if you were John Noel Spitzer, how would you approach it?
How if I had my Musto cap on, how would I?
Yeah.
I am actually wearing a Van cap right now, which you gave me the other week.
One that
So
didn't
literally with a
fit
Van,
fit my massive head.
literally with a Van hat on, I would protect a few players, I think, but I also think I'd go there looking to lay down a bit of a psychological marker. I think they could still win. I think Van have shown enough depth
Yeah.
to suggest that I know they lost a few weeks ago away at Saxby. There's enough depth there to suggest that even with a 8 out of 10 side, they can beat Provence, because Provence have found things a little bit tricky of late with some of the injuries they've been dealing with. They've not been able to put out anything near to full strength for a while. So it could be much tighter than it should be, even if Van do send a change upside. That's the FR UK game, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a proper fixture. Provence, yeah, it depends if they've got fit, but they've got so many injuries and or absentees in that pack, not helped by Piazzoli's madness a few months back, where he decided to knee someone in the head. But yeah, I think they're still struggling with quite a few injuries. But if they do have a few of the guys fit and Van are changed up, then they should get the win, and they could. I hadn't quite realised until after the round of fixtures. I thought Colomiers were basically locked
Home
in,
and hosed,
home and
yeah.
hosed, yeah.
Only 2 points in it.
Yeah, and where are they this week?
They
They are at
host
home.
Mont-de-Marsan,
Okay.
so
But
they
they
would,
go to Grenoble next week, which is
yeah.
although X go to Provence, go to Valence Romand. So yeah, you can kind of see both teams getting a win and a loss in those last two games, and maybe Colomiers do have enough. And certainly you'd think if Van were to win away at Stade Maurice de Vide, then that's Provence done. For that is second place locked in for Colomiers. But equally, I could see Provence getting a bonus point win. So could go anyway. Anything could happen, Richard.
Yeah, as ever. The other massive game, so you've got that at the top, and then the tail end, 9 p.m. French time on Friday, massive. Béziers hosting Biarritz, a point between them on Biarritz, just ahead on 49 points, Béziers 48, which is two ahead of Mont-de-Marsan, who you would think have a bit of an uphill battle against Colomiers, but I would imagine whoever wins this game is probably well pretty close to safe.
Biarritz host Carcassonne in the final round.
Last game, so
So if
particularly if
they
they
win, yeah,
you think that yeah it will then be a shootout between what happens in the last games between who will Mont-de-Marsan play in their last game of
Mont-de-Marsan
the
host
season,
Argennes,
host Agen,
which feels like the sort of game that Argennes might be on the beach by then.
and Béziers have to go to Angoulême. So yeah, we will see, but very interestingly poised.
Aurillac are not out of the woods, nor are Nevers. They are 6 ahead of Mont-de-Marsan. Both of them are on 52. So Dax are safe, well, all but safe. They could technically still go down, but Nevers and Aurillac are on 52 in 11th and 12th. Aurillac host Grenoble, Nevers host Oyonnax, so at least they are at home. But Aurillac then go away to Oyonnax next week, so you'd think that an Oyonnax will very much be looking to get into the problem with those fixtures for those guys is that Oyonnax are going to be focusing on where they can get their playoff game. Similarly, Nevers away at Brive next week. So if Mont-de-Marsan aren't going to beat Colomiers away. I was getting excited there.
Yeah, it's unlikely, isn't it?
It needs Colomiers to. It needs Mont-de-Marsan to get at least a win and a draw in their last two games. But the fact they travel to Colomiers, who need that win, and probably 5 points for Colomiers there probably does seal second place. Yeah, be very Mont de Marsan though to pull out an away win at this point of the season against Colomiers, though, as unpredictable as they are, but not quite been enough evidence to suggest that. So it is, it's largely a 3-horse race, and 2 of the horses are playing each other this week.
Yeah. The other massive news that came out of Pro League just in the week gone was around Fabien Fortezan, the Valence Roman head coach. He's obviously done amazing things there, who has agreed, and it's been confirmed, is moving to Brive as attack coach, I believe, under Greg Patat, which is I guess there's probably an element of A, money talks, and B, kind of persistently maybe a more likely chance of coaching in the top 14.
Right?
And status, yeah, that's fine. It is also the statement for Valence Roman was not shirty in any way. I thought it was very professional given the circumstances, but understandably, there's a fair bit of frustration coming through. He had another year on his contract at Valence, and also there is, given the time of year, there is still a very, very real possibility that Valence and Brive could play each other in the either the barrage or semi-finals, or who knows, potentially even beyond that, which is regardless of he's an amazing coach, and I'm almost surprised there isn't it's pretty clear at some point he's going to be a DOR in the top 14. Like, I think that's an absolute given. Regardless of how professional and how good he is, it casts a bit of a weird cloud over any potential matchup between those two in the kind of reckoning at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, few people slightly frustrated, but I'm sure Valence will finish strong regardless. But yeah, quite big news.
Been a hell of a coaching effort this season, hasn't it?
Yeah.
For Valence Romans.
Yeah, unbelievable. They've done really, really well. Cool. Shall we leave it there? Come back and finish off with a couple of Petit Fours.
Yes.
Okay, Rob, anything caught your eye in the Petit Four stakes this week?
A few things. I guess we didn't mention last week, which now feels ages ago, but the increased possibility of the Lions Tour de France. And the guys on the ruck did a really good breakdown of that in last week's ruck podcast. They kind of broke down the reasons why the Lions were looking at this, and they weren't particularly effusive in their praise for kind of why it might happen. It is very much like the leaked document is, how can we make more money, basically, and it would be amazing, and we've obviously talked about it loads, but I think given that sort of reaction and the fact that the journalists looking at it from the Telegraph and the Times have kind of dug into it and been fairly disparaging about it, suggests that might be on the back burner for longer than it might have been. I think the reaction is kind of tells it all. Maybe it's a tactical leak, but who knows? The other thing or news that we've not really touched on, which is our apologies, we've pretty lax from us, is the kind of salary cap financial report stuff, which came out a couple of weeks ago now. And I think it actually for the first time published losses, didn't it, for the clubs? And I think Stade Francais were making a fairly horrific loss, or they were the biggest loss in the top 14. But I've not read nearly enough about it. I know Francisco Isaac did an article, didn't he, on Rugby Pass, which he reposted on X, about diving into it in a little bit more detail. But the news this week in regard to that was that top 14 are looking at bringing in a marquee player rule, which feels unnecessary, if I'm honest. I just they spend enough on it's not the salary cap is not so restrictive that it's ruling out bringing in Leicester Ganuku or whoever from New Zealand or Australia or South Africa. That is not a restrictor. I think it's just how much they're paying players generally and their own finances. Toulouse do not need to make Antoine Dupont a marquee player. They get enough credits and stuff like that. The cap is there, and it is doing quite a good job at. Well, actually, arguably, it's not doing a very good job at like making it more competitive because Toulouse and Bordeaux are flying ahead in the financial stakes, so it's not making things particularly competitive in that respect. So I don't think I think a marquee player makes that even more, or even less, like limiting.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was my
yeah. I
that's the kind
saw
of main financial roundup.
Charlie Morgan did a piece in the Times, which I think yesterday or maybe even today, and it was just saying it's kind of like where's the next European winner from the Prem coming from, and it did understandably nod towards the squad budgets in France, and I mean Toulouse is I think they spend what €2 million more than Bordeaux in second or Stade Francais something like that. With all of the credits and national team stuff, and you kind of like, how much do you need another €1 million in the marquee player coffers on top of that? I don't know, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. A couple of little bits from my side. Some celeb. Well, yeah, a couple of kind of. Actually, let's finish with the rugby one first. Some interesting names in Fiji's provisional 50-man squad for the nation. I don't know what it's called. Is it the Nations Championship? Is that what it's
I
called
think that's
now?
right. Yeah.
Including but not limited to, well, the two headlines. Virami Vakatawa is in.
He scored his first try for the Drua this weekend. I watched a bit of that game. He scored his first
Nice.
try for the Drua against the Highlanders, playing
Excellent.
at 12.
Thought that was very cool. And then Nathan Hughes,
Ooh, yeah, nice.
which yeah, pretty big fan of that. I mean, he's had a fantastic year at Racing. The other thing is just if you look at I mean, it's news to no one because we know how kind of good this side is and these players are, but like the outside backs list that they've selected is absolutely filthy. I can't. Oh, it's not loading up in front of me now. The list of players, but it's like, here we go. Just to so back three: Gita Wanangolo, Vinaya Ambosi, Celestino Rabatamanda, Calavetti Ravovo, Manassa Mataili, Selesi Rayasi, Vuate Karollevu. Like, is that how many is that? Seven. There you go.
Mataele, he's
There's your
unreal.
sevens team. There's seven of them.
Yeah.
That will do a job. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that was quite good fun. Also saw after Bordeaux's win, Jules Koundé, the France and Barcelona footballer, was in the dressing room at the Stade Atlantique.
Nice.
I hadn't realised. It turns out he's born in Paris, but played his youth and started his pro career at Bordeaux. Grew up in a place called Landiras, which is near Bordeaux and also like right next door to Langon. So
Okay.
no word whether he's a Stade Langonnaise fan, but
Who are in the semis? I did have a little browse while we were doing Nationale. They are
maybe
long
he'll
gone.
be maybe he'll be there for that semi-final as well.
Long gone host CS Vienne, who I think topped their league. Maybe
CSVN
not.
went down a couple of years ago from Nationale, I
I
think.
also think CSVN might be a former Brennus winner. Don't
Okay.
quote me on that.
Near Lyon, Vienne, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. Because it's the kind of the other team that have gone through on that side. Macon, which is obviously up north of
Okay.
Lyon, isn't it? So it's the kind of there's quite a lot around that area. I don't have any kind of more. Talking of French Fijians, here we go. Here's a link. Sorry, we were on French Fijians with Fakatawa and the other guys playing the top 14. Did see that Noah Nakitasi has signed for SC Toul Corrèze for
Oh
next season
wow.
as backs coach. I think he might have now retired.
Oh,
Um,
that's a
he
shame.
is so they currently play in Fédéral 1 and they finished 10th in their pool, avoiding relegation, above FC Lord, who have gone down to Fédéral 2, the great team of
Yeah,
what are they, fourth with joint fourth or like fifth
something
most
like that.
successful side, and US Bergerac were the other team that went down. But Nakatasi is currently at USA Limoges, but he's not played that much this season. I assume he's had to retire because he's basically had like a couple of bench appearances. Might have had a start at 12 at some point. But also, I went down a real rabbit hole. Also in the USA Limoges squad, so the team he's currently at is Saba Kaulashvili and Levan Papidza. Now, as a Po fan, seeing those two surnames sparked my interest. Saba Kaulashvili is the brother of Leksho Kaulashvili, but unconfirmed whether Levan Papidza is the brother of Poprop, Gurumpa pizza. But there was quite a lot of Georgians knocking. When I was browsing squads for Federer, there was quite a lot of Georgians in various squads, which is interesting. Like there's clearly still a pathway. Talking about Becker, Gigashvili coming from Nationale. We were talking about him last week. Yeah, that was a complete random aside. But I thought for a moment Noah Nakatasi was still going, which is, I think he might now be done. But good luck to CS Toul Carrez next year with him as their backs coach. That feels quite flair.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. The final thing for me, and I think this is genuinely one of the best Petit fours of the year. So you stayed in Biarritz the other week, right? And it's pretty well to do, nice spot. Kind of the great and the good of France, like to descend on the Basque coastline there. They had a couple of weeks, well, maybe like 10 days ago, Chanel were in Biarritz at the launch of, it was like the kind of Chanel lookbook or something. It was like some sort of big event. Big deal in the Basque country. Some fairly big names in attendance, like ASAP Rocky, Tilda Swinton, Marion Cotillard, all these people. And in the front row with them, in the front row chatting, chewing the fat, was Remy Bordeaux, the Biarritz Olympique captain. Who was with Nicole.
I saw him with someone. Yeah,
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on there?
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
I hadn't realised that was the event.
Yeah, so they'd I was kind of reading into it, and it was on Rugby Rama. They basically were, I think Jan David was due to attend as like a guest, as a like a kind of general spectator attendee. And they suggested, there was a bit of chat, and this is from I think the Biarritz marketing team, a bit of back and forth, like, would you like to come to a game? So the Chanel kind of management team went to see Biarritz beat Colomiers on the Friday night, I think it was, potentially the Thursday night. And where's the quote? It's so good. Yes, we welcome them into the VIP box. They had a wonderful experience. Remy Bordeaux's performance that evening in particular was remarkable and even impressed the Chanel director of celebrity relations, led at the last minute to an exceptional invitation. So yeah, he was front row at the Biarritz Casino. Yeah, like full photo shoot. He's there chatting with Nicole Kidman. Yeah, just absolutely incredible.
That's amazing.
Just sublime. Like the crossover we didn't know we needed. Remy Bordeaux and Nicole Kidman. Quite an experience.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, I was going to talk about Aaron Grandidier's trip to Lagos, but that feels underwhelming after talking about that. But yeah, Aaron Grandidier did a couple of days in Lagos with Total Energies, obviously a Poe sponsor. He's got up to quite a lot. He did a bit of cooking, and also it looks like he coached in some very natty tops. It has to be said, with some Total Energies.
That is cool. Yeah.
And some Poe most importantly, some Section Powers Gilbert Bulls. But he coached some kids as well, as part of
very nice.
Nigeria rugby. That was very, very nice. But
very cool.
Not a patch as cool as that is. An Olympic gold medalist going and teaching kids in Lagos. No, we're not here for that. We want more. We want more obscure niche rugby players in Pro D2 mixing with Nicole Kidman and the like. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, it's quite a twist, isn't it, to go from Pro D2 one week to the Met Gala the next. Is
which like Billy Searle wasn't particularly glittering in his praise of Biarritz's facilities, was he? So like, don't know how plush the royal box or whatever the VIP area of the Christina Aguilera is. Maybe that's the next step, right? Like, has she got any? Has actual Christina Aguilera got any links with Chanel?
Surely.
If not, she should do. Someone, if the head of celebrity involvement or whatever he was, if he's not seen the name of that stadium and thought, I know how to make this work. If he deserves the sack if he's not made that connection.
We're going to see Chanel kits next year for Biarritz. All right, let's wrap up. You can follow us at Rosbiff Rugby on Blue Sky, on X, on anywhere you want to kind of waste your time hearing people moan about TMOs and Andy Good and all that sort of thing. We'll be lingering around in there somewhere. Get in touch, rosbiffrugby@gmail.com. Drop us a DM on Instagram. Always happy to get back with any tips, tricks, or just general murmurings.
I'd say if you're going to DM us on Instagram, not X, because X has a real nice habit of locking people out of being able to see direct messages, which is quite annoying, which we've both fallen foul of at various points this season.
Wise words. But I think that's it. Top 14, FR UK, Thursday night, Provence v Van. Should be an absolute belter. Good round of top 14 coming up as well. Have I missed anything, Rob?
No, Rosbeef's Derby, big weekend.
Big weekend indeed. Okay, that's been Rob. I've been Richard. We've been the Rosbeef Rugby Podcast, and for another week, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.